everyone. My name is Gondar Kit from BSN2E, and here's my PowerPoint presentation about global renewable energy from science, technology, and society. Thank you.
Wind energy. Wind turbines capture the kinetic energy of moving air to generate electricity. They can build onshore or offshore, with offshore farms benefit from stronger, more than consistent winds and energy. Wind energy is now one of the cheapest sources of new electricity in many regions, like solar. It is variable, but advances in forecasting and grid management help balance supply. Number 2 is the solar energy. Solar power harnesses energy from the sun using photovoltaic panels of solar thermal system. Photovoltaic cells convert sunlight directly into electricity, while solar thermal plants use mirrors to convert sunlight and produce steam that drives turbine. Solar is the fastest growing.
Renewable energy. Renewable energy is a term used to describe a group of energy technologies derived from sources that do not deplete or that can be replenished within a human's lifetime. The most common renewable energy sources are solar, which harnesses the sun for energy; wind, which utilizes the motion of wind to create electricity; hydropower, which uses moving water to generate power; biomass, which refers to a large group of technologies that use living or recently living organisms and waste to create energy; tidal. Tidal uses the rise and fall of the tides to create electricity; geothermal, which uses the internal heat from the earth for energy. Nuclear energy is not considered a renewable energy source. It is considered an alternative energy source. While renewable energy accounts for a minority share of the world's energy supply, it is also the fastest growing energy supply on the planet. Renewable energy is sought after because it is a clean source of energy, meaning that it does not directly produce greenhouse gas emissions or air pollutants. While renewable energy sources are better for the environment, they also face several challenges, the main ones being low efficiencies, high capital costs, and intermittency. That's renewable energy.
There are over 300 million people in our country, and the vast majority rely on large-scale, centralized power grids for their energy. But the infrastructure is aging, and it is vulnerable. Natural disasters, cyber attacks, and other threats can leave large swaths of the country without power. Fortunately, there is an alternative. A renewable energy microgrid represents a different path for the future. Renewable microgrids generate power from sources like solar, wind, hydrogen, waste-to-energy, and geothermal. That power can be stored within the localized system using technologies such as advanced batteries, hydrogen, flywheels, pumped hydro, and others. These microgrids can provide reliable and efficient energy transmission, especially to critical facilities like hospitals, airports, and military bases. Unlike our current large-scale systems, microgrids eliminate single points of failure and are therefore more resilient to disasters, threats, and power outages. Our current energy infrastructure loses a lot of money. Grid outages cost up to $33 billion annually. They are expensive to build, expand, and maintain. And they're inefficient, losing more than half of the initial energy to factors such as line loss, spinning reserves, and theft. Microgrids solve these issues and greatly reduce transmission loss and maximize efficiency. They also reduce carbon emissions and eliminate imported fuel costs, keeping money within our local economy, and even create new local industries and jobs based on clean, renewable energy. Our energy grid was built over 100 years ago, when energy needs were simple. With the increased complexities of energy demands, power sources, and transportation, now our old grids struggle to keep up. We require new ways to generate, store, and deliver energy. Renewable energy microgrids are a potential long-term solution that will provide safe, clean, reliable, and efficient energy for generations to come. Hydrogen, the simplest element, and also the most abundant. Hydrogen makes up roughly 75% of all mass in the universe. Hydrogen also powers most of the stars in our universe. So it's only fitting that it has come to be recognized as a viable alternative energy source. And we need alternatives because fossil fuels are problematic. They're messy, dirty, expensive to obtain, and not secure. And they're limited. Hydrogen, on the other hand, is everywhere. Hydrogen can be produced from a wide variety of sources, including water itself, using other renewable energies. That means it's clean, really clean. As a zero-emission fuel source, the only byproducts are water, heat, and electricity. Easily transported, hydrogen can be stored and distributed on a large scale as either gas or liquid. As a fuel, hydrogen itself is very light. In fact, hydrogen is 472 times more efficient by weight than lead-acid batteries. And it isn't just for transportation. Hydrogen can also effectively produce and store energy for power grids. Hydrogen gas is transformed into energy within a fuel cell. As hydrogen passes through a fuel cell, electrons are released and an electrical current is produced and captured for use. Electric vehicle motors, powered by hydrogen fuel cells, are twice as efficient as gas or diesel engines. They can travel farther distances than lithium batteries, especially in heavy vehicles, and can last for decades. Hydrogen-powered fuel cells are scalable to buses and commercial fleets such as trucks, trains, ships, and aircraft. Fuel cells allow for fast, easy refueling, and hydrogen can be easily adapted to current refueling stations, making it a convenient fuel source for everyone. It is a proven, safe, clean, and efficient energy source currently in use worldwide. Hydrogen is everywhere, including our clean energy future.
Power generation in Australia is done through a variety of sources, including renewable and non-renewable sources. Australia's main energy sources include coal, natural gas, hydropower, and solar and wind energy. Coal is the most widely used energy source in Australia and accounts for around 60% of the country's power generation. Australia is one of the largest coal exporters in the world and has large reserves of this resource. However, the use of coal as an energy source is criticized due to its negative impacts on human health and the environment, including greenhouse gas emissions. Natural gas is the second most used source of energy in Australia, responsible for about 20% of the country's power generation. Australia has large reserves of natural gas and is one of the largest exporters of this resource. Natural gas is considered a clean energy source compared to coal as it emits less greenhouse gases when burned. Hydroelectric energy is generated from the force of water moved by hydroelectric plants. Australia has some hydroelectric power plants, but this source of energy is responsible for less than 5% of the energy generation in the country. Solar and wind energy are renewable sources of energy and are gaining increasing importance in power generation in Australia. Solar energy is generated by capturing sunlight and wind energy is generated through the force of the wind. Both energy sources are renewable and do not emit greenhouse gases. Australia is increasingly investing in renewable energy sources as a way to reduce its carbon footprint and help protect the environment. In addition, Australia is also exploring other energy sources such as geothermal energy, biofuels, and wave energy. Geothermal energy is generated from the heat energy of the Earth's interior, while wave energy is generated from the energy of ocean waves. Biofuels are generated from renewable sources, such as sugar cane and corn. Australia has also sought to implement policies and incentives to increase energy efficiency and the adoption of renewable energy sources. For example, there are tax breaks for installing solar panels on homes and businesses, and programs to help finance renewable energy projects. In addition, Australia is also working to develop new power generation technologies, such as energy storage technologies, to make renewable energy sources more affordable and viable. Energy storage is crucial to ensure the continuity of energy generation, even when weather conditions are not favorable for generating energy from sources such as sun and wind. In summary, power generation in Australia is evolving over time to include a mix of renewable and non-renewable energy sources, as well as energy storage technologies. Australia has sought to implement policies and incentives to increase energy efficiency and the adoption of renewable energy sources, with the aim of protecting the environment and reducing its carbon footprint.